Bhagyashree, you can start.
Yes, I'm just opening the file. Oh. 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 ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परम् ॐ गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुदेवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः ॐ सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा कार्पण्यदोषपहत स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वामधर्मसम्मूढचेताः यच्छेयस्या निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्येयतेऽहं शाधि मां त्वां प्रपन्नम् ॐ वाङ्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविरविर्मयेधि वेदस्य म आणिस्तः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासिः अनेन अधीतेन अहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्यमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गे स्तुष्टुवाग्वं सस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति न साक्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति न बृहस्पतिर्ददातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ अहं वृक्षस्य रेरिव कीर्तिं पृष्ठं गिरेरिव ऊर्ध्व पवित्रो वाजिनीव स्वमृतम् अस्मि द्रविणग्वं सवर्चसं सुमेधा अमृतोक्षितः इति त्रिशङ्कोरवेदानुवचनम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
Very nice, Bhagyashree. You are near perfect. Okay, so I'm going to give you very small changes that you need to make. In the second shloka, it is not Guruve, it is Gurve. There is no uki matra in ra.
It sounded like oo, actually I said ra only. Maybe
it sounds Guruve. Yeah, Guruve namaha. Then in the second last shloka, your second line was perfect. The first line is Gire River. So the second time you said Gire River exactly correctly. In the first one, it went Gire Riva.
Okay, okay.
And the second last shloka, that Bhadram Pashyem Akshabhiri Jatra, you went very fast in the first half, which was not in line with the rest of your incantation, which was really nice and soft. The first one, it was like, it was an acceleration, and then it came back up, right? Very, very nicely chanted. Very, very nice. Thank you. Okay.
It's a reflection of your practice.
अब याद कर लेना. Next time, I don't want to see you reading off that, huh? बहुत अच्छा. Okay. So I think in the last class, we finished on Shloka 22. Can we have somebody do the the summary? Any volunteers? Yes, yeah, Nana, go ahead.
So, in 13.9, in the 19th shloka, he had told us about he had started off about Purusha and Prakriti, saying that although both are beginningless, the modifications and the gunas are originating from the Prakriti. So, in the 20th shloka, he talks about the karyas and the karanas, which are the cause of modification in the Purusha. The karyas being the effects which are the five gross elements and the five gross elements and the objects of the perception senses, sorry, and the karanas are the agents which are internal to the body and which constitutes of the what is it in intellect, mind, and ego, and the five senses of perception and the five senses of action. Together, all this with the gunas cause the modifications. However, the purusha is required for the experience of these modifications by the body, and depending upon, it's like the relationship is like a pot of water which reflects the sunlight, and the experience of each individual would be based on the purity of the antakaran. So the VVGPs are experienced by the Purusha based on the clarity, divinity present in the antakaran. So, and the Purusha being posited in the Prakriti starts to identify and gets deluded and starts to believe in the limitedness of the body, and so because of that he accepts the laws of the of nature, and hence takes up the birth in different yonis based on the um, strongest vasanas present at that time. The birth takes birth in various yonis. And in the 22nd shloka, Sri Krishna talks about the various ways in which Purusha is present in the Prakriti. Like he is the seer or the witness. He can also be the the guiding voice which is within you, and the purveyor, the one who the body is sustained by the purveyor, as the experiencer of every VVGP, and also and finally it's the supreme divinity within the body which is present. So that is the 22nd shloka. That's my summary of it.
Very nice summary. So so now we're coming towards the fag end of this chapter 13, right? No, not the fag end, actually, we have a lot left. But chapter 13, as we start this Gyan Yog, right? Gyan Yog, we're trying to understand the exact nature of the lower nature and the insentient nature and the sentient nature, so that we fully, at the level of Gyan, really understand the difference between the two. Everything that we know of in this world, everything we've seen, experienced, thought of, is part of this lower insentient nature. Everything is insentient nature. We are submerged in insentient nature. And there is only one consciousness, only one sentient nature, that is one, and that is Him. The individualized self inside of us is him, right? And there is no connection between the two. Okay. And now in this insentient nature, as Naina explained, there are these 23 elements are divided up into the causes and the effects. The causes are the agents, the 13 agents that she described, the Bahya Karan and the Antah Karan, the external tools and the internal tools that cause things to happen. And then there are 10 effects that happen out of that. All of these causes and their effects are all part of this insentient nature. And we constantly operate only in that. The external self, the capital S self, sits atop everything else, is unaffected, is only the seer, is the experiencer. And the connection between them, wherein the individualized self associates himself with the limitedness of this body, mind, and intellect complex, is only seemingly mana hua sambandh. You have accepted that this is me, and is a self-created boundary. Once you've self-created a boundary, you don't step out of it. This is my boundary, this is who I really am, and this is where my limits lie. So you live, breathe, and die in that limit. Okay. So the way to go from mortality to immortality, our last closing shlokas, right? To go from mortality to immortality, to go from asat to sat, to go from darkness to light. The only thing we have to do is to like do that, कहते संधि विच्छेद कर देना, संबंध का विच्छेद कर देना. You break that relationship, that mana hua sambandh, you break that relationship. That's it. That is all that is required. It's a matter of a second. Like you say, I am not this, I am not this, idam, I am not this, everything that I can point to, I am not this, I am that. Everything that I can point to, I am not this, not this, not this, not this, neti, neti. You constantly say, I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not my feelings, I'm not my emotions, I'm not my mind, I'm not the food I eat, I'm not the thoughts I think, I'm not the feelings I feel, I'm not the opinions of people, I'm not my goals, I'm not my roles, I'm none of this. I am beyond all of this. I am the seer of all of this. I am the experiencer of all of this. And I'm unaffected by all of this. Whatever gandagi is there in my antahkaran, I'm not even that. I am the light through which I'm seeing all of this. And I just have to clean it out. Right? That is why the moment you realize that, you never come back in this world. Because the moment you realize that is the moment you've got moksha, you've got liberation. That's it. That you've cut your umbilical cord to this world the moment you realize that. But realizing this does not mean that we only realize it at a knowledge level, right? Intellectual level. Realizing it means then it has to come in our behavior. Has my behavior changed because of this acquisition of these words? If not, then I haven't understood it. Then I haven't accepted it and I haven't broken my umbilical cord, right? So really understanding it means that my behavior will instantly change, because then I'm not going to get irritated, angered, or upset or annoyed by VVGP around me and then throw all that blame on them, right? Because then I know it. This is all asat. This is all just a game happening. And the real thing is me, which is completely unperturbed by all of what's happening around me. Then I'm Satchitanand. So the real moksha happens when this knowledge really, really is realized. So moksha, the opposite of moksha is delusion. Delusion of accepting a wrong relationship, of accepting a wrong identity. The moment we unaccept that wrong identity, we take that cloak off us, is moksha, is liberation. So liberation can only happen, moksha can only happen when we have got the gyan. Gyan is the only source of getting liberated. So then why have we spent 12 chapters doing Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga? Because for that gyan, and now we are reading this today, correct? We're reading this. Has all of us achieved moksha just by reading it? Of course not. Because our antakaran is not ready to accept it. Our antakaran is not clean enough for us to be able to see the reflection clearly. It's like the water is muddy. If the water is muddy, you cannot see the reflection of the sun or the moon in it. If the water is full of ripples of thoughts and feelings, you will never be able to see the bottom of the ocean or the bottom of the whatever lake or swimming pool, right? That is why. So all of those first 12 chapters, the Bhakti Yoga and the Karma Yoga, is to make sure that the waters become still and clean. When the waters are still, when the waters are clean, we'll see the reflection. We'll see the reality at the bottom of that lake. That's when the gyan clicks. It clicks like this when our antakaran is absolutely clean, cleansed and purified. And when our ego has been fully decimated and surrendered to the Lord. It's a process. That is why those 12 chapters are important. But by doing just Karma Yoga, you will never get liberation. And that is why being good enough, doing the right things, doing all the right activities does not lead to any moksha. It only leads to accumulation of good karma for which you even come back again and again and again. Okay? Good karma does not lead to liberation. Good karma leads to cleansing of the soul, cleansing of the antakaran, so that we live in accordance with the dharma. It helps in cleansing us. It helps in increasing our patrata so that the gyan clicks. That's the purpose of Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Without that, we are not worthy recipients of gyan. So how much ever gyan will come to us? We read the entire Gita 2,500 times. Because we are not worthy recipients of that gyan, we will never reach moksha. Okay, that's why those 12 chapters are important for us to make us ready for the last 6 chapters. And again, all of this is a process, right? Now you understand the importance of those 12 chapters. You understand where we are going after the next 6 chapters. We start with the first chapter again. This time, Gita will speak to you. The very first chapter will speak to you at a different level than the first time we did it. The third time, the final. They say that Gita, 10 times you go through Gita, 11th time Gita will go through you. The lifelong process. Okay. Now with that understanding, let's start with Shloka 23. Rituj, will you read with us?
The Lord describes the gain accruing from the knowledge of nature, with its gunas and that of the self equipped with the above adjuncts.
Ya evam veti purusham
Ya evam veti purusham
prakritim cha gune saha
prakritam cha gunai saha
sarvatha vartamano api
sarvatha vartamano api
na sabhuyo bhijayate.
na sabhuyo bhijayate. One who knows the spirit and nature with its gunas in this manner is never born again, in whatsoever way one is engaged in performing actions. Liberation by knowledge of the reality. In this shloka, the Lord stresses the need of identifying the individualized self as being the real spirit and as possessed of the above mentioned adjuncts. He also stresses the need of knowing nature with its modifications, the gunas. Knowing thus, the true perception of the self is realized as really being the spirit, and this true perception helps in getting rid of ignorance due to a seeming identification with nature. Such a person, even though performing all duties, is freed of the liability of experiencing their outcome and is therefore liberated from the cycle of births and deaths. The reason is that the desire for experiencing the outcome of actions is the seed from which the next life sprouts forth. But equipped with the knowledge of the self, a person performs all duties selflessly. Consequently, the liability of experiencing their outcome is transcended in the same manner in which a person awakened from the dream state is no longer liable to experience the outcome of acts done in the dream.
So this is, I think the main element here is our individualized self, the capital S self, is Bhagwanji, is real. The reason we associate with matter, and matter in this context would mean our body, is because of the gunas. Correct? And the reason why we are delusioned in this body, that we are not the capital S self, but we are engaged in sansar, is because of our desires. And not just our desire from this life, it's a lifetime of desires that lead to bondage. Which is why the essence of Gita and the starting point of Gita always is get detached. Don't be attached. Desires are temporary, they are unreal. There is no point chasing them. Every desire that you chase will only lead to further bondage because you have to face the consequences of those desires. And the greater you have a desire, now whether that's food or whether that's money or whether it's something else, till you don't detach yourself, you will keep suffering from that bondage. Which is why the element and the crux of the Gita and the line to underline here is the reason is that the desire for experiencing the outcome of actions is the seed from which the next life sprouts forth. The moment you disconnect from desire is the sword with which you will start disconnecting from your gunas and start moving towards sattva and the real truth.
And this is where this line that Avina pointed out is the most important line for us in this shloka, because, and you should underline it, it shows to you the power that you have. Why do you have that power? Because you are him. Tat tvam asi. Tat tvam asi. If you are him, then all the power he has is also at your disposal. That's why you are the Brahma, you are the Shiva, and you are the Vishnu of your own world. And that is really, really real. People do not realize, most of us, I would say 99.9% of us, 99% of us don't realize the power that we have. We are constantly scattering our power away and giving it away to other people. We are extraordinarily powerful beings, extraordinarily powerful beings. And the world is created around us based on what we want. The problem is that we're not conscious always. We are not aware of what we want. Most of our desires over a period of time, through our actions, through our behaviors, through our habits, through our actions, through our choices that we constantly have made over a period of time, become muscle memory, become unconscious habits. And through those habits, we are constantly acting out our most deep-seated desires. And some of these most deep-seated desires also emanate from our own sense of self, of who we are. I am this kind of a person. I deserve this. I don't deserve this. And these are very deep-seated behavior patterns. And those behavior patterns get expressed in this world through our actions, through our words, through our thoughts, through our feelings. And that create the environment around us, that create all the VVGP around us. It really, really is that powerful. Whatever we say we want will get manifested in this world, depending on how powerfully we want something and how powerfully we are constantly putting energy behind it. Right? Unconsciously or consciously. The way to get power back so that we can is to consciously create our world. Right now, we are unconsciously creating it. And that's why we don't believe that we are creating our world. We say, no, everybody else is creating it around me. Everybody else is responsible for everything that's happening in my life. Everything that's good, I created it. Everything that's bad, somebody else created it in my life. I definitely didn't create it because I didn't want it. It's bad. I want to avoid it, right? But I create it because I am not in control of my thoughts, my feelings, and I'm a slave to my senses. I'm a slave to my emotions. So that is why those poor habits kick in. I'm a slave to sleep. I will not wake up in the morning, and hence I will not exercise. Example, right? Now, understanding the nature, by it says, right, it's very important to knowing the nature with all its modifications of the gunas. Why is it important? Because when you really, really understand it, you understand that this is a simplistic system of rules where an input goes in and output comes out. Nobody can mess around with it. Whether you accept those rules, believe in them, don't believe in them, whatever it is, end of the day, you put in an input, you get an output. Okay? Understanding that really well then helps you understand that if with awareness I put in a certain different input, I will create a different output. But if I continue to behave the same way, do the same things over and over again, no new output is going to get created. I will keep getting the same results. Okay? Then you start to become more experimentative. If you are at a lower level, at a higher level, knowing really that there is a real seer here. I am not just this agents and modifications and the results of it. I'm not just this, but I am that Tattvamasi. When I understand that, then how will my behavior change in this world? It's to get a sense of it. Imagine that there is a play going on a stage, right? 360-degree stage. There is a play going on with several different scenes being enacted, right? And you're constantly going from one scene into another, into another, into another, into another. And you as an actor don't know all other scenes because you are here in this scene acting that out. If you are acting this scene out, you don't know those 25 other scenes that are going on the stage simultaneously. You go from one scene to another, to another, to another. There's only one person who knows all the parts of every scene, and that is the director of that stage, of that play, correct? And he knows everybody's parts in that scene, and he knows where it is going and where it started. You don't know as an actor. Now, if you thought that you are fully engaged in that play, you're crying, you're happy, you're experiencing everything, right? The moment you really understand that this entire thing is just a play, and there is a director who's directing everything, who is directing how you should be in a certain situation, how the other person should be in that situation, you may get extremely passionate on scene in a situation. But the moment the director says cut, you're out of it. You've done that part and you don't hold any animosity towards other people around you. You may be extremely angry on stage in a certain scene, right? Because you're required to behave that way. You come out of it, there is no feeling inside of you. It hasn't touched you inside. You behaved as per a situation. You were ecstatic because of somebody came and delivered, oh, you got a promotion. Ecstatic because you have to behave that way. That is appropriate to the situation. But internally, there is sambhav. It's just a play. All of this is just a play. Can you see the difference between your internal state and your external way of being on stage? All you're doing is, am I behaving appropriate to what the director asks of me? Am I pleasing that director really well? Is he happy with the way I'm playing my role? Okay, that's the only important thing. So your way of being and how you will be with all your co-participants in the play is going to be very different. Now you're not creating, oh, this is my friend and that is my enemy. There are no such conversations. Everybody is a friend. Everybody's playing their part. and you applaud their part that they play. Everybody is a friend. Everybody is being directed by him alone. So put yourself in that thought process and see how your way of being and your behavior and how you will play your part in that thing will change. That is how you will, once you really understand the difference between the kshetra and the kshetragya, you understand their real this thing, then you can live in sambhav. That is why knowing these two things is so important. Next time you see something play out, you're not going to go like, oh, that person doesn't deserve this. How is that person having this so much of wealth and he's doing all kinds of wrong things? This person has done nothing really wrong and yet they are suffering. All those questions will disappear because everybody is reaping what they sow. Everybody. And you will have compassion, love, and empathy for everyone because everybody is walking the same path and everything will pass. This is all temporary and transient. Happiness, unhappiness, suffering, pleasure, pain, everything is temporary. You will not get attached. You will just go into a situation asking one and only one thing. What is my role here? What can I do? How can I be of seva here? That's the only mindset you will have. You're not going to get swept by any particular emotion. You will go in, do your seva, walk out. That person needs my seva in this format. That person needs my seva in that format. You do your seva, you walk out. If you have no role to play on a certain scene, you will not go onto the stage. It is not my role to play. Right? So then you can live a life of sambhav with full power. Make sense? Okay. And when you live it like this, then you understand what it means by the last few lines of the shloka, right? Consequently, the liability of experiencing their outcome is transcended in the same manner as a person awakened from the dream state is no longer liable to experience the outcome of an act done in a dream. Because internally you are in sambhav. You're doing only a seva to be done for him and him alone, the director. You're not seeking anything for yourself in that situation. Because there is no me. There is nothing that is mine. I just have to go in, play my part, walk out. There is no desire left anymore for acquiring anything or getting anything from somebody or getting any acknowledgement from anybody. You're not seeking name, you're not seeking fame, you're not seeking money. You're just here to do your duty. Right?
See, just I'll add to this, right? Everything is a game. Every VVGP we experience is a game. And we are part of that game as part of the body. The game to play is just one thing. Either you do the action with attachment, which results in bondage, or you do the action with purpose and no attachment, resulting in liberation. That's the only game we play every single day, 100 times a day. And Bhagwanji gives us that opportunity 100 times a day. Actually, you made the wrong decision, no problem. Let's try again. Let's try again. Let's try again. Till we reach a point of sambhav on a regular basis, and then it's done. And it's real freedom, real liberation, real happiness, real peace in everything that you do.
And one rule of this nature, right, of the insentient nature that Gita has told us time and again is that out of the 4 purusharths that we have, the 2 purusharths go together and the other 2 purusharths go together. Calm and calm goes with moksha. Desire should only be that of moksha. Right? And arth, arth must go with dharma. धार्मिक तरीके से अर्थ हमें इकट्ठा करना है, right? And out of this also, the earth we will accumulate, the calm that we experience, the desires that will be fulfilled. These two are given to us at the birth time. The previous, इसमें कहते हैं हिंदी में the words they use is पिछले जन्म की, पिछले कई जन्मों की जो प्रधानता है अर्थ और काम में, पिछले जन्मों की प्रधानता है. Okay, the acts we have done in the past create the coffers of the desires that will be fulfilled and the earth that will be given to us in this lifetime. All decided at the beginning to say, this is my path, this is the fastest path, these are the tools, these are the resources I need to walk my path. Okay, इस जन्म में फिर किस चीज की प्रधानता है? धर्म और मोक्ष. The actions we do in this lifetime will not impact the money that will accrue to me, the resources that will accrue to me. They have already been decided in the beginning. The only thing that we can affect and change in this lifetime is the dharma and the moksha. इस जन्म में इसी की प्रधानता है. So whatever we do, today's actions will affect me today from dharma and moksha perspective. So don't worry about desires being fulfilled and about earth coming to you in this lifetime. Whatever is due to you will come to you. Nobody can take it away from you. Nobody can cheat you out of something. If one person cheats you out of something, it was meant to be. Let him take it away. That earth, if it was meant for you, it will come to you through some other source. Somebody else will come and give it to you. Okay? But what we have in control is dharma and moksha. What I feel, what is inside of me when I do something. That's a very important thing for us to understand. Because all of our actions are driven by actually earth and Kam. All of our actions, all of our anxiety, all of our fears come from earth and Kam. And once you understand what futile effort it is, because nobody can cheat me, nobody can take anything away from me from what that is due to me, and I will never get anything before its time is there and the amount that is due for me. डेस्टिनी का लिखे से ना ज्यादा आपको कभी मिलेगा ना उससे कम मिलेगा. You will not get more or less than what is due to you, and you will never get it before or after its time. It will come to you when it is due to you. And if you think about it, right? Today, where we are in our lives, all of us, we are blessed by God that we all have Gita in our hands. What is it that we don't have for the upkeep of this body? He's given us everything that is required. And he will give us everything that is required for the upkeep of this body at all points of time. So what we only need to focus on is dharma and moksha. So desire, and like I said, right, desires are the reason for outcome of actions. And desires will never go away. What we need to do is to redirect, change the desire from desire of these lower insentient things to the desire of being connected to him. The desire to know that Tvam Asi. That desire, that's what needs to happen. The desire needs to transmute and go from the lower to the higher desire. And use that energy. Desires exist for a reason, but we need to use it correctly. Okay, it's a great tool. Let's go to the next shloka.
Desire to moksha is the right desire to have. Can
Correct.
we say that?
Yes, absolutely. It's the only desire to have. And it's a desire that will not bind. So Vijay, do you want to read with us the next one?
Sorry, I'm not in video. The network is flaky.
Oh, no, are
In
you
foregoing slok, yeah, am I audible clearly?
clear?
Okay, thank you. In the foregoing shlokas, the Lord said that all modification exists in nature, which comprises three gunas, where the immutable self remains quite unaffected by them. On realizing this truth and engaging in performance of all duties, their outcome is completely transcended. The Lord now speaks of some ways for achieving the discernment and its realization. Dhyane natmani pashyanti
केचिदात्मानमात्मना
केचिदात्मान आत्मना
Anye Sankhena Yogena
अन्ये शाङ्केन योगेन
Karma Yogena Chapare.
कर्मयोगेन चापरे. Some realize the self in their inner beings by meditation through their intellect, others by the system of Sankhya Yoga, and still others by Karma Yoga. Perception of the Lord by Sankhya Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, or by Karma Yoga. In chapter 3, the culmination points of the disciplines had been mentioned, namely the Sankhya Nishta and Yoga Nishta. All the disciplines of yoga or self-realization fall under these two broad categories. It is necessary to recapitulate them at this stage.
So
Shanki, yeah.
just a quick thing, right? This is a really important reflection on Bhagwanji's, if Bhagwanji has already said it to Arjun, why is he saying it again? If we've already had an entire chapter, we've discussed Sankhya Yoga, Karma Yoga in detail in chapter 3. What is the importance of repeating it? Why repeat it? Right? And the subtler thought here to contemplate upon is the importance of repetition for our mind to catch on to something. If you want to learn times table, you can read the table once, but you will not get it. It's the repetition of the times table that creates an impression enough for it to be used. You don't repeat it and someone asks you what is 12 times 6, you will fumble, you'll probably do the math, you'll do the calculation, you'll figure it out, right? But in life, when life throws you a challenge, you will not have the time to open a book and consult and figure it out. It has to be your immediate response. You cannot then be figuring out whether I'm a Sankhya Yoga, whether I'm a Karma Yoga, and what is my duty in this. No, that is for us in every satsang that we do. But the repetition of these conversations, the repetition of these principles is for us to be ingrained and internalize the importance of who we are and what we need to do. And if Bhagwanji has to repeat it for Arjun, we can be well sure we have to repeat it for ourselves through like daily reading, through regular practice, through doing key takeaways, by doing summaries. Because that is when we are beginning to internalize this. Yeah, let's continue.
Shankinishta. In this system, the aspirant accepts from the very beginning that the supreme self and the individual self are completely identical. The aspirant may adopt any discipline to secure perfection, but the root of the discipline lies unflinching conviction that aspirant is in no way different from the supreme divinity. Such a person has no sense of identification with the physical body, as it is regarded to be only appearance without any reality and quite distinct from the self. The functioning of the body is regarded to be only play of three gunas of nature. The self is quite unconnected with the condition or activities of the body and also of any pleasure, pain, or suffering affecting the body. In this system, the contemplation of Lord is in his formless aspect without adjunct.
So, Sankhya Yoga, you would remember, right? Sankhya Yoga is the person that does not identify with the body at all. They are just one in meditation with Bhagwanji throughout. And anything that happens or that needs to be done happens through the gunas, and they are literally just the witness and the observer. So a lot of realized saints we would know are Sankhya Yogs who've first spent years in developing and perfecting the connection with Bhagwanji. And not just that's once it's done, it's done. On a daily basis, they will spend Dalai Lama, on a daily basis, he wakes up at 3 a.m. till 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. All he does is meditation. Then he goes into the world for 2-3 hours, then again meditation. Then he goes back because that's the only way he performs. That's the only way he is completely in sync with Bhagwanji, comes back, is the witness, allows the gunas to play whatever role they have to play, and go back. Right? That's a Sankhya Yoga. Let us be clear, none of us are Sankhya Yogas. If we were Sankhya Yogas, our path and our life would be very different.
The end of the day as well. So the Sankhya Yogi relates to the Nirgun Nirakar aspect of the Lord, right? Nirgun Nirakar aspect.
The formless.
And he can only associate or identify with that Nirgun Nirakar or the formless aspect of the Lord because he has zero connection to his body, zero relationship with his body, right? So you just have to ask yourself that one question. Do you relate to this body? Right? Immediately you will know. If somebody insults you, do you feel bad? Somebody says something, why did he say that to me? How did he say that to me? I made this, I did that. No, I did not receive the thank you. They were rude to me. Right? All these questions tell us how tightly we are bound to our physical body. How much time we spend in decorating this body, making it look good. So there is no, this is not the Sankhya Yogi's path. Sankhya Yogi does not care about the body at all because he does not connect to it. There is nothing you can do to his body that will rile him up in any way. There is no connection. He knows that whatever this body is doing, it is doing as a part of the nature. You give it one input, it will create an output as per the rules of the nature. You put a hand in fire, it will burn. You put a hand in water, it will become wet. These are the rules of the nature. The nature is doing its dharma. Body will do its dharma as a part of being being part of the gunas. And that's how he treats it. Right? It does not reach him. It does not create any impact on him, whatever the body does. That's a Sankhya Yogi's path. Nobody reaches Sankhya Yogi. All of us start from a lower level and we are all Karma Yogis. Our path is that of Karma Yoga Nishtha, not Sankhya Yogi Nishtha. Sankhya Yogis are realized saints who are born here. And it's like canary in the coal mine. You go into the coal mine, kalik to lagegi hi. So when they assume this form, they get affected. So they are constantly cleansing themselves, like the Dalai Lama. He was a small child when he was already realized. His behavior, his thoughts, his actions, everything tells you, if you read about him, he was not a normal child. It's a realized saint born in this world. And he spends hours constantly strengthening his connection with the Lord. Yeah, Nana.
So Sankhya Yogis already attained moksha, is it?
Yeah, they are already there. They are here only to do seva.
So
they are here to do seva. They are here to do God's work. They are here to guide whatever God wants them to do.
So Sankhya Yoga, if you read any of the saints' books, because they are born in human body, they first have to go through tap. They first have to go through cleansing for their antakaran to become completely clean. And it is after that tap and effort of 15, 20, 30, 40 years, whatever it takes, they attain enlightenment and then they come back into the world. Right?
Zaruri nahi hai. Sabka alag alag.
Sabka alag hai,
but yes,
there is a
everybody
tap
has to go
element.
through tap.
They're not born at the age of 0 and they're like, you know what, I'm Bhagwanji. No.
Dalai Lama.
Yeah, no,
That's
but he
also
went through a lot
example.
of tap.
I mean, that
He
tap
did not-
can happen even when you are,
He
but
was
yes.
slated to be a saint.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. And he is known to be the reincarnation of Dalai Lama, of the previous Dalai Lamas.
Yeah.
But his personal story is that he had to go through a tremendous amount of effort, education, meditation,
Of course.
all of
Tap
that
is part of everybody's life, whether
Before-
you're Sankhya Yogi or
before
not.
he reached a level where he felt comfortable saying, you know what, now I feel like now I can make decisions as Dalai Lama.
Yeah, that I agree.
He had
Totally agree.
sayers and he had mentors and guides and everybody else who corrected him earlier when he was a child and said, no, you have to first do this 6 hours of meditation. How can you come out of then reach that level?
Correct. That I agree.
Right? But as a child, even he wanted to play. Even he wanted to go with other kids and play. But he knew, no, that was not his path. So he had to focus on another path.
But because he was a realized saint already, so he was able to curb himself. Na, एक normal बच्चे को आप बोल के देखो 6 hours of meditation, 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock in the morning, which kid will do it? Except for somebody who's a realized saint, who will curb his natural instincts of being born with those gunas. Those gunas will tell him to do something, and you are able to control it with that awareness, and then be able to continue to do what you need to. Right? So that's the difference between the path of a Sankhya yogi and the path of a Karma yogi. But both the Nishthas eventually reach the same level. The end goal is the same. There's no difference in the end goal, just two different paths.
This is a different system altogether, though it culminates in the same attainment as the one attained by the Shankyanishta. In this system, the aspirant has an entity distinct from Supreme Self. Regarding the entire world to be manifestation of the Lord, aspirant has a feeling of being its devotee. In that capacity, all actions are done for the pleasure of the Lord, appearing in different forms. In this system, the aspirant is fully conscious of the body and acts as a doer of the actions. As such, they are performed by aspirant as being only an agent of Lord. Some aspirants regard themselves as a servant and the Lord as a master. Others have same feeling for the Lord as devoted wife has her for the husband. Some have feeling which father has for child. All these feelings pertain to the devotees who recognize themselves as being entities different from the Lord and regard their action as being worship of the Lord.
So the common factor between Sankhya Yoga and Karma Yoga is that of devotion, that of bhakti, and that of full surrender. So Sankhya Yoga is in full surrender with Bhagwan Ji to an extent that he doesn't even associate with anything happening in samsara. For us, it is full surrender of our results to Bhagwan Ji so that it doesn't create attachment in our journey moving forward.
Correct. And here we connect the Karma Yogi because the Karma Yogi is very conscious of the physical body, right? That's the key distinction between the Sankhya Yogi and the Karma Yogi. Because we are fully conscious of a physical body, we connect to the physical body, we are conscious of doing certain actions, right? So the way to make sure that all the actions that happen, we don't get lipped in them, we don't get attached to them, is to make sure that we are constantly aware that I am doing all actions by resources and by the energy given to me by him. I'm doing it for his pleasure alone as an act of seva, and all the results that accrue out of it are also devoted to him and him alone. Right? So irrespective of what the results happen, I do my seva in this world. And every person I meet, every VVGP I meet, every thing that I encounter in this world is only a form of the Lord. The problem is that this Maya is extremely enrapturing. It has two major properties. It has a veiling property and it has a projection property. So veiling property means that you don't really see things for what they really are. You will see a person You will see a person with his BMI. You will not be able to see the God inside of him. It's the veiling nature of Maya. And then there is projection. It projects what is not there. Okay, so it has a veiling and a projecting property which creates delusion. That is why it is extremely important for us to constantly remind ourselves of what the truth is. That is why we have all these crutches of Nam Jap, of Satsang, of Swadhyay, of Nidhi Dhyasan, of Manan, of any kind of devotional practices as crutches on our path to constantly act as reminders of what the truth really is, so that we don't get swept away by in the river of delusion. And because it is his Maya, it is extremely potent, very powerful. We can't get past his Maya without his support and his help. Narada is able to get past Maya only because he is devoted at his feet. So Bhagwanji protects him. The only fish that does not get captured in the net of the fisherman is the one that is at his feet. Other fish get captured. So whether you're doing Sankhya, whether you're following Sankhya Yoga, whether you're following the Karma Yoga Nishtha, which sometimes is shortened to just simply say Yoga Nishtha, right? Bhakti is a very important part. Now, Bhakti as an element, as we've understood in the 6 chapters that we covered in Bhakti Yoga, is not about, it's not about rituals. Right? At no point of time in those 6 chapters did we read anything about rituals, did we? At no point of time did we talk about rituals. Rituals are not important. The bhav is important. Meditation is not just about sitting in one place. It is about carrying on a living meditation through the day. It's about awareness. Awareness of our state of being, of how or what we are being attached to, where our mind is going to, where our thoughts are meandering, of being able to focus on what the reality is. And ultimately, the focus is on finding God in everybody, in every situation, in everything. And being able to constantly, with awareness, do actions only as an act of seva. So for Karma Yogi, Bhakti is important from a point of view of decimating our ego, our sense of doership. I am doing it, or somebody else is doing it. And in the process, what do? Everything that good happens in my life, I am the doer of that. I am the creator of that goodness. And everything that is bad that happens in my life, somebody else gets the blame. Right? And that entire process is broken down by bhakti. Because I am not doing it. I am not the doer. I am just an agent for the Lord. All the vibhutis that are given to me are his vibhutis. Just a small particle of his vibhutis for a certain karya that he's given to me. Some seva he's given to me. So that is our Yognishta. Let's go ahead. I have your phone to control Google. How do I control it?
The yoga of meditation and that of devotion. All disciplines fall in either of two systems mentioned above. But there are some disciplines which are common to both. The discipline of meditation is one such discipline, with the difference that in Shankya system, the aspirant meditates on the formless aspect of the Lord without adjuncts. And in the yoga system, the object of meditation with the Lord are without the form but with adjuncts. The discipline of devotion is quite unique. It is the root of both the systems. It is at the it is at once a means of discipline as well as its culmination. In fact, the devotion for the Lord is identical with the Lord. The Shankya Yoga and Karma Yoga. In the second line, the mention has been made of Shankya and Karma not as two systems but as two yogas. which, though practiced differently, culminate in the same attainment. In that state of consummation, the aspirant and the discipline both merge in all embracing existence of the Lord.
Yeah. So at the start of this Gyan Yoga Shatak, we are now just understanding. The first thing is he's explaining to us the difference between the Kshetra and the Kshetragya, the farmer and the field. And now he's reminding us what are the two paths to seek the truth. And in chapter 2 itself, Bhagwanji has made it very clear when he explained these two aspects, right? This is how he likes to start. This is how Bhagwanji does, right? Chapter 2, first thing he did was give the absolute end goal in mind. This is the end goal. This is who you really are, right? And then he was like, okay, now you are not really lower hand. Okay. So you are not really you're not really at a space where you can really understand that gyan, right? So then he starts with us where we are. That's why then chapter 3 starts with Karma Yoga, because as people who are completely identified with this body, who understand that I am this body, I am my mind, I am my emotions, I am, when we start off from that space, he starts off with actions that we can do and what we should do to be able to get past that understanding and to really realize who I really am. So he starts off at that level. Now, chapter 13 also, he's starting off Gyan Yoga from like bang. This is the reality. This is the Kshetra, this is the Kshetragya. This is the knower, this is the known. And as we've understood, that divine knowledge is different from the materialistic knowledge, where the knower, the knowledge, and the object of knowledge, the knower and what is we know that entire those three aspects are different and they always remain distinct. Whereas in divine knowledge, all three merge into the same thing. The knower becomes the known. The knower becomes the embodiment of knowledge. And as an example, we have always talked about that you can never say that I understand humility unless you practice humility. And when you practice humility, you become an embodiment of humility. Then it is no longer an intellectual concept. It is a realized concept. It is who you become. It is not what you do. It becomes who you are. Right? So that is where, so big, and humility is an aspect of knowing God. It is one of the tools that we will learn in the subsequent chapters as we go through details of this Kshetra and Kshetragya and how to attain that knowledge and how to practice that knowledge. End of the day, Gita is a very practical thing. It is not about just having theoretical concepts. It must translate into actions. It must translate into a change in who I am, in my state of being. And if it is not transforming that, then it's a wastage of my time. And as Abhinav said, we have to constantly revise. We have to constantly, the only way our mind develops deeper impressions is through constant practice, through constant exposure to the same thing again and again and again. And that's why we have to have so many checkpoints in our life. Ye satsang khatam hoga. The moment we go out in the world, we are again submerged in that world. Right? So it's very easy to get lost unless we practice on a daily basis. Our Nam Jap, Satsang, our Nidhi Dhyasan, Swadhyay, Manan, everything is important on a daily basis. Okay. 24th. Smita, will you read with us?
Just
Yeah, 24th.
Sure, 25th.
Yeah.
And connection. An important question which arises here is that there are some aspirants whose intellects are not sharp enough to catch the finer aspects of perspiration, direct or total. Is there not a simpler way for such aspirants? The Lord says,
Perception. The word.
Yeah.
Smith, I've muted you, so you'll have to unmute yourself. Anye twema jan. Anye tvevam janantah.
Anye tvevam janantah.
Shrutva upasate.
Shrutvam Shrutvan yebhya upasate.
We did not get unmute, is it? Te api chati tarantyeva.
Te api chati taranteya.
Tarantyeva.
Tarantveya tarantveva.
Mrityum
Mrityum shruti parayanaha. Others, however, not knowing thus, take resort to worship, having heard about it from others. They also, depending on what they hear, overcome mortality. Liberation of simple-minded persons with faith. The Lord says that for an aspirant not possessed of any intellect that is sharp enough to grasp the finer and deeper meanings of philosophical concepts, it would suffice if a simple discipline is followed. Reposing full faith in the words of saints or the preceptor with a non-skeptic mind. All the worldly duties of such an aspirant are performed in accordance with their instructions. Such a guileless and unsophisticated person also crosses the ocean of mortality easily and does not fall in the cycles of birth and death. But this assurance is not for a person who has an intellect sharp enough for worldly pursuits, but who pretends an incapability of understanding the concepts of spiritual knowledge. In this shlok, assurance has been given by the Lord to those aspirants whose intellect is not developed to the extent of grasping the deeper meanings of philosophical concepts. For them, the straight path to tread is to pray earnestly to the Lord for their redemption. If their prayer is genuine and sincere, they would be led to some preceptor who would show them the path of a discipline easy enough for them to follow. By adherence to such a path, such person can cross the ocean of mortality.
Now you can.
So this is a wonderful shloka, and I mean, there's a lot to highlight, but let me share a story first, right? We went through a personal story. So we went through an experience last week, last Sunday, in fact, which left both Tuina and me completely spellbound. And this is related to our helper. So we have a full-time help that stays with us, and she's been with us for 6 or 7 years. She's from Punjab. She has a habit of doing part every morning and every night. And on her holiday, she will go out and do a lot of things, but she will ensure she has at least one meal at the Gurudwara. And on weekdays, whenever she has free time, her go-to thing is, I will go to Gurudwara and I will do seva. Or if I'm too tired from working, I won't do seva, but I'll just go be in the Gurudwara, right? This was a habit we've observed now for 7 years, 6.5, 7 years. Now, what happened was her father passed away Sunday morning at 1 a.m. in the morning or 1:30 a.m. in the morning. She got a call. And in the morning when we woke up at 7:30 or 8, I went into the kitchen and I could see her eyes were red, and she was just like, Bhaiya, my dad passed away. And she obviously cried and broke down and stuff. And I was like, when did you find out? She said 1:50 a.m. I was like, why didn't you wake us up? He was like, nahi, aap log so rahe the. I didn't want to disturb your sleep, so I thought I'll tell you in the morning. Now, in the morning, that was a Sunday, it was a holiday. She woke up at 6 o'clock to cook rajma, to cook bengan bharta, because that is the instruction we had given her. And she was in the middle of cooking. She was in the middle of preparing coffee and chai for us as we wake up. And Tuina, of course, was there. And of course, she was distraught as any of us would be in terms
Yeah,
of
like
the
the moment she
grief.
saw us, she's like
But-
crying and she broke down and everything. But I was shocked
Ki
that
her-
morning when she wakes up and like, would I be able to follow my karma? Like she was a true karma yogi, man. I was like, how did she even think about working in the kitchen and doing anything in that state? If I find out about such a thing in office, am I going to stay there and I'm going to finish my work before I leave office? I will probably drop everything and I'll come out and I'll move out immediately.
So
And this girl is standing there and I'm like, Binni, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing all of this? Why did you not wake us up on time?
and she's
Why-
saying
at
"Acha,
that time
so
itself.
we booked her tickets that very next flight. We said whatever it is, you go. She's like, okay, since I have a few hours, should I make some parathas for you? Should I make some sabzi, freeze it for you? And I think was the fact that her
Why are you even thinking about it? I could not fathom that that girl
still wants to do
is-
seva.
is still in that space of figuring out what is my duty here, what I should be doing. I was like completely blown away. Completely like this is a true karma yogi. And
And
we had to tell her, please just stop all of this. You have to figure out your packing, talk to people, do whatever you need to. Like, but
And
she was
even
in a
then,
different space,
so
right?
she had to go buy suitcases or whatever. She didn't even tell us. She's like, can I just go out for a few hours? We said, okay. Of course, I thought she'd go with her friends or whatever because it was Sunday. She went out to shop for her family, whatever they wanted. She bought new suitcases. There was not even one ask कि भैया आप मुझे छोड़ दोगे? आप मेरे लिए taxi, like make it slightly convenient for her.
Yeah.
No, she just
And I
took the
told her
bus
she
to
came
East
back-
India. She did
Correct.
whatever she had to do
She came
within her
back with
means.
that suitcase and I said, why did you go out to buy suitcase? You could have taken one of our suitcases. And she said, no, I anyway, Didi wanted to buy one. So it's okay, I did it. Like in such a calm fashion. And of course, like that doesn't mean she was breaking down in the middle. She was doing all, but like her presence of mind. And I'm telling you, it was just her faith, her every day that part that she does, morning and evening, it gives her that strength of dealing with that situation in such a powerful and in such a calm manner that she's able to think clearly and do what is needed, give her the strength. Like वो बिल्कुल ऐसे बिखर नहीं गई कि अब मुझे पता ही नहीं क्या करना है. She was not a mess. And she's a very emotional girl, extraordinarily emotional girl. She's so emotional कि हम लोग हफ्ते भर के लिए 4 दिन के लिए कोई बाहर जाता है तो उसको रोना आता है. We come back, then she's very happy that you come back. She cries. We send her back home. She cries that I'm leaving you, I'm leaving Vedant. She comes back, then she cries because she's leaving her parents. Like I tell her, like try and focus on the other side of the story rather than crying every time you leave somebody. But she's a very emotional girl. I did not expect that she would hold up so
And
well
this
under
is-
such duress.
And this
Very
shloka,
emotional girl.
this shloka reminds me of her.
Hmm.
Either she cannot read, she cannot even understand 10% of any of these principles and concepts. Her intellect is definitely moved because basic things she is not able to grasp and follow, remember, all of those things, right? But somewhere through her Gurudwara, through the realized saints who are teaching, preaching the part, the mantras, depending on what they hear, the environment she's created for herself to be connected on a daily basis, right? We are so sure now that we are living with the karma yoga. And someone who we need
She's
to
way
regard,
ahead of us. We
we-
learned so much from her.
we are much quicker to give up our duty in trials and tribulations and personal problems than she has. And then you realize कि भगवान जी आपके सब दूर हैं. And everyone's on that journey and everyone is here to show us. We have a long way to go.
But also, what it also assures us is that whatever we are, whoever it may be, whatever be their abilities, whatever be their disabilities, okay, Bhagwan Ji has a path to him for every single one of us. With our specific vibhutis and our specific disabilities of what we can or what we cannot do. All of us have vibhutis. All of us have like things that we cannot do. But Bhagwan Ji has crafted a very special path to all of us, for all of us. Every one of us will walk home to him, and not just the people who can like learn 700 shlokas of Gita and narrate it, right? There are people for whom this is very important as a part of their journey because of the particular vibhutis they have been given. But it is not a necessity for everyone.
So
what is a necessity for every single one of us without fail is that we create around us, in our homes, in our families, in our offices, in our friend circles, in our thoughts, the company we keep, we 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 curate that circle very, very carefully, because all of these things have a very deep and important impact on us.
So let me just finish one thing, Bhagishri, then I'll listen to your question. Bhagwanji has made the base level entry of yoga, of connection to him, very, very easy. And that base level entry, like for my helper, it is part, it is Gurudwara, all of that, right? Because she can say the part. The base level is Nam Jap. And as long as you're a human being, as long as you have a mouth and a tongue and you have thoughts, you can do Nam Jap. All of us can. And that is enough.
With full
Everything
surrendership.
else will follow.
With full surrendership. But yeah, Nam Jap has so much Shakti that even if you do it without understanding its real significance, as long as you are just repeating with your tongue, that's the only shart that Babaji says. Or koi shart nahi, sirf repeat karo with your tongue, nothing else. It will cleanse you enough. It will give you whatever else you need, show you the path that you need on your particular journey. Bring the right people into your life.
Haan, Bhageshri.
Yeah, Bhageshri.
So, does this mean this shloka means that such people will also attain moksha?
100%. 100%.
It's
Everyone
enough.
will, yeah.
It is enough. You don't need to understand every aspect of every concept and every theory to attain moksha. You need to be that person who is connected with the real and realize moksha.
You see, in chapter third, in this chapter earlier, right, when we were talking about various things, we said what are the most important, like see Shloka 7, right? The means of perception. Means of perception are same as what is to be perceived, right? They're same as Bhagwanji. We talked about means of perception as being humility, as unpretentiousness, non-injury, forgiveness, rectitude, worshipping the perceptor, purity and steadiness, self-control. For all of these things, whether Binni understands these shlokas, whether she reads and understands the finer aspects of Gita or not, she embodies these facts, a lot of these facts already. So if she already is practicing these means of perception, what is going to prevent her from achieving Bhagwanji in this lifetime?
I think you have a follow-up question, Bhageshri.
Yeah, I'm like I'm shocked that how is this possible that this shloka has come up, because just since 2 days I am thinking that there are so many things to do in life. I have not yet completed first round of Gita and I have to read again so many times. There's Ramchandra Maharaj and there are so many other things. How am I going to gain all the knowledge, and how is it possible in my lifetime? I want to do so many things and it's not. And just last night, I was thinking about this same thing, that it's not possible in my lifetime because I have to read so many things. I have to gain so much knowledge. Only then it would be possible, because so much knowledge is out there and I don't have even maybe 1% of that. So how could it be possible? And I think that is like answered here. So I'm not able to like see how it comes. Same thing happened in Shloka 18 also. Just 1 week before the Shloka 18, I um I see some people who are born in families where they have been reading Gita and doing bhakti and what not and so many things. And I was thinking that I am not born in such family, or I have not been doing such things from my childhood and all. And then then it might not be possible for me in this lifetime. Maybe I'll have to born again in some other circumstances. And then just a week after that, this Shloka 18 came in, where it said that, we are born exactly in the same circumstances where we can attain Lord. So I don't know how every Shloka is coming. I mean, how am I getting questions just 2-3 days or a week before, and how is that getting answered? I don't know.
Because you are Arjun, you are the seeker.
You're a
And
true
now
seeker.
Bhagwanji is talking to you directly.
Hmm.
You're being a seeker. We all are seekers, and that's what Arjun was. He's a seeker. Arjun's journey is our journey.
When we become true seekers without guile, when we become true seekers without without a cavilling mind, right? Where we're not trying to prove how smart we are and trying to question and find holes in arguments, but accept ki I don't know everything. I understand this is true, but I just can't see how it is true because of lack of my understanding. And hence, I will ask questions to clarify my understanding so I can really understand how something goes from here to there. I understand this is correct, but where I am, I don't see how, I don't see the pathway to it. So I will ask clarifying questions around it. Right? This is a very different way of asking questions than somebody who's asking questions for the sake of finding holes in the arguments and trying to disprove somebody else, right? That's a cavilling mind. When we ask questions to really seek to understand, to seek to practice, then we become true seekers. And then Bhagwanji speaks to us directly. Absolutely. It's beautiful.
10 minutes.
Very beautiful sharing. Thank you. But
Okay.
again, just to reiterate, right, there is so much knowledge in this world. There are so many different things to do. It's not because we have to do all of them. It's not possible in this lifetime or in like even millions of lifetimes, right? It is not there because everybody has to do everything. It is because there are billions of people in this world and all of them need something different to get to Bhagwanji. That is why there are so many different things. Somebody will need to go through all of the scriptural studies. Somebody like Binny never needs to touch a single scripture for her to reach a path, because her situation, her circumstances, all of us, we have been born in a certain circumstance with a certain family in a certain place at a certain time with a certain set of resources, with a certain set of VVGPs that will come our way. That is the fastest path to reach Bhagwanji in this lifetime. God knows how many different things that we have gone through, how many different yonia we've gone through to be able to clear our prarabdha to get this opportunity for this yoga again, right? This is the only yoga yoni. Now we've gotten it. Of all the people, we've even gotten Gita in our hands. This is all Bhagwanji's grace, that there is certain amount of patrata we have achieved, and this is a path for us. Binni does not do Gita part every weekend, does not mean that she does not have the patrata for this. It's because she does not need it for her life journey. She needs Gurudwara and her path. The way her gunas are, this is her way of connection to the Lord. So she will connect through that. We need this for our path, for the type of people that we are and for our journey specifically.
So I will get what I need.
You will get exactly what you need to get to Bhagwanji in this very lifetime. The very specific VVGPs, the very specific nishtha, the very specific disciplines that you need to do. As an example, I have always wanted to learn क्या कहते हैं उसको classical dance, है ना, बचपन से. And I never really got the opportunity to do it. आज तक भी मेरे को मन करता है कि I will do it. I've never really found an opportunity. अब Singapore में, yeah, there are hundreds of schools. I can go join one. But my situation doesn't permit me. I don't have that kind of time, discipline, or whatever, right? There are other priorities right now. So, but I see other people who do all that classical dance and I always think someday I will find time to it. Ab, agar it is part of my life journey, it will come to me in such a way where I won't have to struggle too much. It will present itself as a part of my seva, as a part of my sadhana. Nahi hai, to nahi hai. Make sense? We will, whatever VVGPs that we are being presented with in the specific circumstances we are being presented with the specific vibhutis we have been given and the other resources we've been given, we have everything we need in our arsenal bag, in our toolkit to get to him in this very lifetime. So don't ever get bogged down by somebody else who is doing a lot of other things and saying कि यार मैंने तो ये भी नहीं किया. But that doesn't mean कि यार see अभी हमारी circumstances में हमें गीता दी गई है, हमें एक फॉर्मेट दिया गया है, उसमें हमें कहा जा रहा है कि बॉस आपको A1 2 3 4 चीजें करनी है, वो हमें करनी है बस. अगर आपको उस और आपके ऑफिस में आपके घर में इतनी चीजें हैं, इतने सिचुएशंस आ रहे हैं, आर यू इम्प्लीमेंटिंग दीज लर्निंग्स इन दोस सिचुएशंस एवरी डे? That is what you need to focus on. If you are doing really well in the VVGPs, in the sadhanas that we have been given extraordinarily well, you're doing well then. Class 1 का बच्चा class 1 के course को ठीक से कर ले. That is the only thing that is necessary. And class 1 in that particular school, class 1 in another school may be different. But they have different paths or journeys, right? So we don't have to compare ourselves कि मुझे class 1 I have to do for 6 schools के different subject. मुझे CBSE का भी class 1 करना है, मुझे ICSE का भी class 1 करना है, मुझे IB का भी class 1 करना है. वो नहीं चाहिए हमें. आपने अपना class 1 कर लिया, you will get to class 2, you will get to class 3, and you will ultimately graduate in this lifetime only. But focus. अगर हम लोग कॉन्स्टेंटली मूव करते रहेंगे, आज हमने ये पकड़ा, फिर आज हमने ये पकड़ा, फिर हमने वो पकड़ा, then everywhere we are scattering our energies, right? Then we are not concentrating energy enough to grow beyond. If you have to focus, if you focus sun's energy properly using a magnifying glass, you'll be able to burn a paper. But if it is scattered around without that focus, it will never create enough energy, enough calorific value to burn that paper. Make sense? So don't be ever disheartened. Huh? You have everything you need to reach Bhagwanji in this very lifetime. Okay. Is it 12 already? Okay. All right.
Agishri, if you can do closing shlokas, and then please let's do takeaways on WhatsApp instead of keeping everybody on hold for 15 minutes.
I'll just put on charger and I'll start the shlokas.
In the meantime, do you want to do any one person's takeaways?
Maybe somebody else can do closing shlokas.
I think we can have someone else do closing shlokas.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, Vijay.
Om Sarvesham Swastirбhavatu Sarvesham Shantirбhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Om Shanti 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 Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santa Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukh Bhavet Om Shanti 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 Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavishhyate Om Shanti 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 Om Om I have only one quick takeaway for today. The Siddhartha became Buddha that we have witnessed today.
Sorry, come again, Vijay.
The Siddhartha became Buddha today. It's what we have witnessed. I was mentioning about Bhagyashri's. Where we have started and where she has matured to, it's like very, very overwhelming for me also.
I mean, I'm still not putting any efforts. I feel that I'm still not putting efforts, which I can, I mean, which I should. But it's just that I'm really shocked today that how is this even possible that the same thing going on in my mind is already like just there, because somebody is coming from India to visit us, and we are getting from India whatever we want. So I was thinking, I order books. I want to read this, and I was going through books, so many books which I should order, and I was like, I already have so many things which I have not read. How am I going to read? There are so many things, and I've been thinking since 2 days, and it's the same question, and it's like answered here. So I was really shocked.
Beautiful.